As we move forward in the event, we would like to play a short video from Bangalore Cargo.
Thomas Friedman, he said the world is flat. And that's one of the most interesting phrases that sums up globalization. In terms of connecting people, connecting packages, connecting cargo and things like that, the thing that makes us happiest is the fact that we play a very vital part in that journey, right? And if you think about it, right, from a physics perspective, see this metal tube that's so big that can actually take off, fly somewhere far across to some other part of the world and come back and bring people and goods and things like that. I mean, how can it not be exciting? What is it that makes it so compelling? It's made the world a much smaller place. And I think what COVID has done is sort of really reiterated how important cargo is for our livelihoods and for our life on a daily basis. There's a human element to it, right? You connect communities, you connect people, you get food from, where it's produced to somebody else's table, and I think you're affecting people's lives so positively in so many different ways that you don't even realize. Our customers believe that we offer them the best value proposition. We have 2 or 3 key things that are going for us. One is our location. We are in the middle of the South Indian Peninsula. We are also very easily located from a highway perspective. We are motorable. We are easy to access. And the fact is that every time we connect one of these major centers of commerce or a new city onto the map, we are cutting travel times. From a cargo perspective, if you think about it, if I have to send something, especially perishables, from say Bangalore to Australia, again, I've cut the travel time by about 4 hours. The second aspect is the infrastructure. We've got the right facilities. We have unconstrained capacity. We've got the right landside access. We've got the right support infrastructure from a truck parking facility perspective, from a roadway perspective on the land side.
The express cargo terminal that we opened a few months ago, from what we understood from the partners was that there is a requirement to have a separate facility. We are a huge pharma exporter, and pharma is something which is time sensitive and temperature sensitive. We have temperature control area which is monitored by both the terminal operators. To monitor that, I think the only way was through IoT, and the data can be shared with both the parties. Airport community system, it's a digital platform where everything is digitized. We built a 250 truck parking facility. It's fully automated. There's a resting facility, basic things which, as a human being you expect. So I think this is something which no other airport can provide. That's something which we're very proud of.
And finally, the team here has been incredible. I mean, I really can't tell you how good the team has been. Full credit to the team on the ground from a BIAL perspective, but equally, the terminal operators, the airlines, the regulatory agencies, government bodies, as well as the wider ecosystem. Anything that you see today is a result of the fact that they work 24/7. So when you bring all of these things together, the 3 pillars as I call it, the location, the infrastructure and the team, I think that puts us in an incredibly good place for the future. It's not something that everybody sees, it's behind the scenes. But I think the fact that it works, and it works as well as it does, and the fact that people don't see it is actually the greatest testament to the fact that it works well. I think if you're known as the airport that without fail gives our customers the best value in terms of efficiency, reliability, cost and quality and level of service, when you bring all that together, magic happens. And I think that's something that we're really looking forward to over the next decade.
and gentlemen, let's now transition to a series of brainstorming sessions. I'm confident that these panel discussions featuring our industry experts will provide valuable insights into our sector and the business. We start with first business session of the day, South India Connecting Supply Chain Horizons, Local World in Global India. To moderate this session, I would like to invite Mr. Manish Agnihothri, CEO, WFS Bengaluru Private Limited. Manish is an experienced business leader with a proven track record of success in corporate strategy, business development, P&L, ownership of general management across multiple industries and domains including airports and aviation, ports and marine, transportation and logistics, telecommunications, technology, and infrastructure development. In his present role as the Chief Executive Officer of WFS Bengaluru, Manish leads the air cargo terminal business for global air cargo leader WFS, a member of the SATS group. Prior to his present role, Manish headed the air cargo terminal business at Hyderabad International Airport for GMR Cargo as COO, and before that, he has held commercial and business development roles in India, marine infrastructure sector, and telecom software product and R&D. Over to you, Manish.
Thank you, Anupama, and very good afternoon to all of you. I'm also mindful of the fact that we are running about 25 minutes late, so I'll try to move as quickly as possible. So I think all the previous speakers on the stage have made my job really easy, because I think I don't have to sell South India anymore in this session. At least I think enough facts and figures have come from all corners. We had the senior government leaders on stage. We have had experts from the consulting fraternity, Dhruv from BCG speak about it. We had Mr. Panikkar and Mr. Bhaskar Anand Rao and Sanjeev Edward also highlight all the things. So I'll not go too much more into it. But amongst the three sessions today, this one is more geographically located. So as such, the idea is that through talking to a very eminent panel of industry leaders that I have today, we will try to bring forth what has been this real resurgence that we have seen in South India, claiming its rightful spot in the nation's economy and the global economy that we have seen, and looking ahead, what is it that can be done to really maximize the potential that our future trillion-dollar economy potentially offers us. To do this, an absolute privilege to have a very diverse yet star-studded panel of industry leaders today, which spans some of the senior-most members in our air cargo fraternity, and also some up-and-coming leaders who will be taking us into the future with a combination of experience spanning airlines, terminal operations, integrator, and most importantly, even human capital development. So it's my privilege to invite, starting from Mr. Keku Gazder, CEO and MD of Aviapro Logistics. Sir, please come on stage. Mr. Gazder is a very, very well-known industry veteran. Prior to his present role, he was CEO of I-Class, the holding company of Airports Authority of India, leading the cargo terminal business for AI across 45 plus airports, where he has led a complete revamp and revival of that business, and has done yeoman service developing a number of domestic and international cargo terminals that all of us have had the privilege of working with. And he's been an absolute industry thought leader. He's been on various committees formed by the Ministry of Civil Aviation or even the Government of India, such as the focus group on operationalizing Krishi Udan, Lifeline Udan, Vaccine Maitri, some of these very, very high-profile initiatives that the government and our industry has led. He's been a key driver there. The Defense Convergence Committee of Ministry of Civil Aviation, the Governing Council of the Logistics Skills Council, the Investment Clearance Cell of MOCA. He was also the member of a National Committee on Civil Aviation, which CII had constituted, and he's also a chartered chartered member at CMILT, a former member of the Civil Aviation Advisory Group of MOCA, and also a former member of the esteemed ACPLB, the Air Cargo Logistics Promotion Board, and was a member of the IATA Advisory Panel on the IATA charging systems implementation in India. And he's also a recipient of a number of awards, including the Industry Ambassador Award, the Corona Warrior Award, the Air Cargo Person of the Year Award by CAI Eastern Region, and a Trailblazer at the India Cargo Awards. So welcome, Keku Saab. Real privilege to have you. And it's also my privilege to invite on stage Captain Nikhil B, who is the Managing Director of Blue Dart, and of course, no one needs an introduction to Blue Dart, the premier and the sole all-freighter airline in our country. And he has a track record spanning nearly 3 decades in our industry. And he was, perhaps not known to many, he was also one of the co-founders of the newest domestic carrier in India, Akasa. He was COO, co-founder, and the accountable manager until recently. And before that, he has had a series of top leadership roles spanning strategy and planning, business transformation, fleet, network, revenue management, operations and engineering at Jet Airways when it was the premier carrier of our country. And in addition to that, he's also a qualified pilot. He has been a commander on Boeing 777s and 737 aircraft with 10,000 plus hours of command experience. So he's truly a man who has seen our industry both on the ground and in the air. He's been a commander and a leader. Welcome, Captain Nikhil. Next, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Govindarajan, COO of Tirwin Management Services. He is one of the gurus in the true sense for our industry, and I would say that I would not be wrong if I say that there are a few who would not consider him to be the foremost teacher and deliverer of knowledge for generations and generations of air cargo professionals in our industry. So he started in our industry in the year 1974, and from there he moved into Air India, where he rose to become the head of the cargo faculty for the Air India Staff College. That tells you all you have to know when I mentioned that he was the guru for generations of air cargo professionals that came subsequently. And 2008, he founded Tirwin Management Solutions, which I'm fairly sure every single organization that's represented here today has probably relied upon to gain knowledge on aviation and particularly air cargo, and most specifically dangerous goods, where he's a fountain of knowledge himself, and also he's been on the DGCA's DG regulations panel, and he also interestingly runs a podcast where he talks on industry issues. Welcome to the panel, Mr. Govindarajan. Next, I have the privilege of inviting Dr. It doesn't say here, it should, Dr. Giridharan Srinivasan, who is General Manager, Indian Subcontinent for Etihad Airways. Giridharan Srinivasan, or Giri as he is popularly known, now leads Etihad's cargo business across 7 countries in this region, including India. And he has a very rich experience of about 20 plus years in the industry. And he's been an expert in managing air cargo particularly, and previously many of you would have known him when he led South India operations for market leader Indigo, and prior to that with FedEx. He's an alumnus of IIM Calcutta and also holds a PhD, which is why I called him a doctor. It did not say so here though. And he's been a personal friend and a confidant as well. So absolute privilege, Giri, to have you on stage. And last but not the least, we have our own Mayank Puri, who is the gateway manager for DHL Express in Bangalore, and heads the entire airport operations for DHL Express here in Bangalore, for what is of course the very well-known global leader in the express industry. Mayank has an MBA from Banaras Hindu University and over 16 years experience in the express industry across almost every vertical that you can think of: project management, infra development, service quality, customs clearance, network control, and airport operations. And he has worked across multiple cities as well. So I'm sure a great privilege for all of us to hear from him on his perspective. So welcome, Mayank. So thank you all once again. So that's taken about 7 minutes of our time, and my request to the panelists also that we have about 20 minutes to make up. We will try to be quick, but also remain mindful of the need to share our perspectives on all of the important aspects. So moving on, I would like to go to each one of the speakers in sequence perhaps, but try and elicit the best of the expertise and the knowledge that they bring to the table. So I would like to start off with Mr. Gazder. You've been in this industry for very long, and I think of the people in the room, probably you have done the most diverse set of experiences across. So as the title of the session says, South India, local world in global India. Can you share some perspectives on how South has evolved and come to where it is today?
Yeah, thank you, Manish. Thank you to ACFI for having me here. Great place to be in here, and as always, share views. Let's start with a couple of points on the regulatory affairs and the regulatory issues I had the good fortune of being associated with over many years. One of the big changes that has come up, and I'll talk first from a central point and then I'll come down to the south, has been the shift in the focus from telling what can be done to asking what needs to be done and how we can collaborate to get it done. I think that has been a very big shift over many ministries and many governments in India. And the bottom line that connects all this is 4 words which you hear repeatedly often called ease of doing business. Over the first hour and a half this morning, I think these 4 words resonate as a summary of what is being spoken about and how it is being done everywhere. If you look at initiatives first from a macro perspective and how it connects our ecosystem, whether it is the PM Gati Shakti, whether it is the national logistics policy, the air cargo policy, etc., you've seen the momentum grow over the last, let's say, 5-6 years. That momentum has really grown. There has been significant engagement, not just with a select people, but with a wide forum of people who are coming in to give an example of best practices that happen not just in India but across the world and how they can be implemented here. Our businesses, and I talk for every one of us in the airport today, in the airport ecosystem here today, is that we start and end not at the airport, but beyond the airports. And that's going to be where the future of our business is going to be. There was a lot of discussion this morning on points like transshipment, transit, etc., which is beyond. And how airports here in the south, ecosystem here in the south develops is very fascinating. So one of the points that I saw this morning was, first, you got 4 ACFI chapters next to each other here in the south, not anywhere else. You got the major concentration of international airports here in the south, not anywhere else. How this is an advantage? It gives the customer an option of choosing an airport, an airline, an ecosystem that is going to sustain his business. He has an option. Big difference from where we were earlier. As Madam Shalini mentioned also this morning, when she was part of the Civil Aviation Committee, the thrust, the focus on how to develop airports, especially here in Bangalore, has shown the results today, where Bangalore is now being the airport of preference, for example, for couriers from the south. I know, for example, a lot of us talk specific commodities that are having dedicated rates from here. So it means that there is growing amount of importance for not just a specific airline or an airport, but even go up to a product level. The big airports here, you already contribute 1 trillion GDP to the country. Congratulations, great move. It now means how we go from here to, let's say, to double it to a 2 trillion economy. We have, for example, the big advantage here south of access of manufacturing factories to airports. We all focus a lot of our work on what we do inside the airports and how we better the ecosystem inside the airports, etc. Very good. What we need to also focus on now is getting to and from the airport. And to both Hyderabad and Bangalore airports here, kudos on having a seamless system of getting trucks coming into the airport in an orderly manner, no truck blocks, no road blocks, etc. A clear example of how interministerial cooperation is actually helping the air cargo ecosystem grow. So, being from an overview, Manish, these are the few points that I would like to put on the table at this moment, and then we'll take it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Keku ji. Very good platform, I think, has been laid with those remarks. I would like to pick up on the point that you mentioned now, South having the kind of a springboard here and take it to Captain Nikhil B, because it's very interesting to see that, Blue Dart has been a pioneer in that strategy as well, using the South as a springboard. What would you like to say on that, Captain?
Yeah, I think for Blue Dart Aviation, South has been very important. I think the first shoots started off from Chennai. And of course, going further south, Hyderabad and Bangalore have also been key when we started off. To speak of today where we are, we have almost 62% of our capacity based in the South India airports. And what it has enabled us is actually to span across the country through these 3 gateways that we have created in south of India. So that's been really good. We have 7 stations across the country, so we basically connect everything from Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad up north. And this firm foundation that we had for many years, where we continue to operate, we have now added 2 more aircrafts, which actually is equivalent to about 30% more capacity that has been added. And as of 29th of January, we've connected our newest station, 8th one, in Guwahati. So that was our quest to connect the Northeast to India as well, in terms of service quality. When we look at the Northeast, just to give you a perspective, our 750 pin codes are going to get served. And today, like Dhruv mentioned, customers are getting very impatient. And our idea is actually to cut down delivery times by almost a day to the furthest point in the Northeast, to same-day delivery in and around Guwahati. So I think South holds important significance for Blue Dart. I think most of the capacity that we have added has been from the South. We actually, with this capacity, and coming back to what Dhruv also mentioned, coincides with what happened with Blue Dart. Over a period of time, we started at humble beginnings in 1996 with 2 737 aircraft. And if I remember correctly, what Dhruv showed in 2006, there was a marked shift. That's when actually Blue Dart also changed over its capacity and doubled it by bringing in 757 airplanes. So I think, from a South India perspective, I would say that Blue Dart is here, Blue Dart is firm. And what we intend to do today, we still have spare capacity available in south of India. And some of the 6 freedom rights that we are talking about to fly into Southeast and to the Middle East, something that Blue Dart is capable of doing today.
Thank you, Captain Ved. So similar growth we have also seen with our global integrator player in the market here, which is DHL. And Mayank, your insights on how you are able to scale up here in this market, taking local to global, as the title says.
So, Manish, till about 2006, 2007, Delhi used to be our single hub for the country. right? Then we realized that South is an important market where a lot of global players, a lot of multinationals, a lot of manufacturing, R&D, healthcare is getting based. And when we wanted to look at our next hub in the country, we decided at Bangalore. We have been present at this airport since day one this airport started, 2008. 2011 is when we got our first flight into Bangalore. That was a Boeing 777. And that time we were doing about 5 flights a week, connecting only one part of the world into South India. But right now, we've sort of expanded more than 3 times in that capacity. Today, it's at 16 flights a week, connecting Asia, India, Middle East, Europe, US. So it's a all-around network that we have currently. And that's grown because we've seen the kind of growth that comes from the exporters and importers into South India. That's grown also because the from those exporters and importers is only increasing by the day, and we as service providers need to match up to that expectation. And in 2008 when we started, we were together with Blue Dart in the co-shared facility, but as there was a need for expansion, then the ecosystem came into play, and thanks to the Bangalore airport, which came up with this concept of the express terminal for all express providers, and then DHL expanded by almost 5 times the size of the warehouse. And not just DHL, I think everybody in the express industry decided that it's the right place to make their second hub sort of for the country. So it's grown by leaps and bounds. It's a huge change that we've seen, and I think it's only increasing in terms of business. It's only in fact now with Bangalore being the second hub for the country for DHL, we are even trying to get a bit of West India volume connecting out of the country via Bangalore. So it's that way. It's been a good journey, and it's only an upward trend that we see.
Fantastic. More positive vibes coming from another sector of our industry. And now, Giri, now we have had perspectives come in from express side of the panel now. As a global network combination carrier, of course, your sector plays a key role as well, because 60-70% of the cargo still goes by the belly of passenger planes. What has been your experience, and where do you see this going from here?
Manish, first of all, thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate it. See, Etihad recently we celebrated our 20 years anniversary, and India is always one of the very key market for us. And as a HO, we always view India as one of the growth engines for the future. So that is the reason why we recently added 2 new stations out of South India, especially Calicut and Trivandrum. And another station is on pipeline. Possibly some stations from South we could be added in the near future. And also we have 2 freighters comes into South India, into Madras right now, and currently we are exploring in terms of adding another freighter capacity either from Bangalore or Hyderabad in the near future. So that's the way we are looking at India as a growing market. And the future looks bright for us. As long as Indian economy is blooming, and then also the South as a states contributing close to about 30% of the total GDP, and the projection says 35% in the next 5-6 years. So a lot of departures increases are planned in a systematic way. You can see more departures coming from UI side.
Fantastic. That's encouraging to hear, and I'll just look to my team that we have some more work to do if you are bringing more freighters here. So fantastic news there. Govindarajan sir, all this story of how we have picked up, and like Keku said, also policy, enabling infrastructure, and all the market forces aligning has certainly led to this growth. But all this wouldn't have possibly materialized without, just like in the case of IT, I would presume, Bangalore having the pool of talent and the human capital that could support this. What are your thoughts on this?
Let me not say it is Bangalore. It is
South, I should say. Sorry, my bad.
Not that I don't like Bangalore or anything. There are certain things don't change in cargo. The first thing, From the time I know Indian cargo, 2% of the 1.1, 1.1, maximum 2% of the total tonnage is only on air. That has not changed for 5 decades. Similarly, 35% of the value goes by air. That has also not changed for 50 years. We talk every time we pick up one term and we use it, but these are all constant factors. Similarly, South Indian contribution in Indian aviation is equal to rest of India. That has also not changed, whether it is passenger traffic or it's a cargo traffic. That means South India has got the potential. South India is doing. Now let us talk about the talent part. Do you have the talent for air cargo? Actually, freight forwarding or logistics, it is the South Indians' talent only started spreading everywhere. Not that I am talking, for example, we used to tell 20 years back, 30 years back, we used to tell which Gotra you belong to. If somebody comes to cargo, we'll ask them, which Gotra you belong to? There are only few Gotras in air cargo. If you are in Bombay, it is AFL, Jina, or Tulsidas Kimchi. If it is North India, the Gotras used to be Continental and Sikas. And if it is in Eastern India, it used to be Blackus, and then came Daga. If it is South India, one guy is sitting there, Nadai Silent Company, 102, 104 years old. And another one is here, Sheriffs. These are all the Gotras. That is, these are the people who generated Indian air cargo. If you go to anywhere, in any cargo, the people originally will have the route either in Jina or Continental or something. So this has been a place which has given the people knowledge. Another thing also I tell you, you are all working, whether in Bangalore or anywhere, especially in aviation sector, the maximum people are coming from Kerala only. Kerala is the place which will sow the seed and get the plant, and then the nursery will be Bombay Airport, Bangalore Airport, Hyderabad Airport or Bombay Airport, but it will blossom and give flowers only in Dubai. It's a order. In other words, your nursery is somewhere, your reaping will be somewhere else. That means we are the factories of talent. We are not giving talent for the Indian industry. If you go to, I normally tell which language you are comfortable with in Dubai or in Abu Dhabi, they say, yes, sir. Even an Arabic guy tells me, I am comfortable with Malayalam or Tamil. That is the level of training. If you take IATA aviation institutes, maximum number is only in Kerala. Normally we say there will be a bakery, next to that one aviation institute. There is a place called Pathanamthitta, and I'm sure he's sitting there. I was once upon a time holding charge of the IATA trainings and all those things. Somebody asked me, who is supporting aviation training in India? I said, nobody. The boys pay the money. No, in Kerala there is somebody supporting. I said, I don't know. To the best of my knowledge, nobody supports, no government support or anything. That guy tells me, there is a place called Pathanamthitta. There are 19 institutes there. How many airports are there? I got little bit. Pathanamthitta, then there was one, our Gawala was standing next to me. He said, sir, I know Pathanamthitta, there is only Pamba river is going there. Probably they thought it's a runway. In the sense, so many institutes, so many people are generated only in India. As a matter of fact, going back to history, once upon a time, Indian Airlines used to be called as Indian Airlines. To that extent, South Indians are only in all this Indian industry giving knowledge. Potentially, if you take the CHA also, you will find a lot of people. If you take the freight forwarders also, you will find the people. Now, if you really go to the airports, The passenger side, you may get people from Northeast, but in the cargo side, you will find only from South India. That means knowledge is there. And how to further develop the knowledge, it's always a question. That part, I have my own points.
I think we will get to that. That's the next part. Thank you so much, sir, for laying down how talent helped build this here. And on a lighter note, like you said, I spent a long time at GMR. Mr. Panikkar used to be my boss as well. We had an inside joke there. We used to say everybody in aviation is assumed to be from Kerala unless specified otherwise, because everybody would have some link to Kerala, it looked like.
I say in aviation, many of the Malayalis are cousin brothers of Wright brothers.
Good, good. On that note, how you ended was the thread that I wanted to pick up, sir, because they famously say what got you here will not get you there, right? Early years, maybe an educated workforce, a lot of positive infrastructure, connectivity, and all those things that came to our help as we grew, like Mr. Gazder earlier mentioned. I want to take it back to him. What will it take to now move forward? Doing the same thing over and over again will not help us. How do we bring in innovation? Because market is hyper competitive. If there were differences in infrastructure or policy or a governance that helped you gain an early mover advantage, that's not going to be there. And for the sake of India and for more particularly, of course, this region, it's imperative we do things differently, innovatively. What are some of the things that the industry can do?
Okay. One of the regrets I have, and I don't have many regrets, but one of the regrets I have part of this industry, and I take part blame for it. Unlike almost all industries, we don't have an R&D. We have a situation where we are now being forced to innovate. We should have innovated probably 30, 40 years ago and through the spans of time improved upon it, but sort of we were more complacent to think that what we are doing currently will take us through for the rest of our careers and life. COVID brought us to our knees. COVID was probably, to me, the game changer and the wake-up call that said, either you think about changing what you're doing until today, or you will perish. Let's put that in context. There's more cargo that has moved out of air into sea. There's more cargo moved out of air into road. There's more cargo moved out of air into rail. There's more cargo moved out from air into coastal shipping than anything else till today. I can't think of a product that has been reversed coming from those modes of transport earlier into air. I can't think of it. What should we do? Well, we need to innovate. So two things, and I see a lot of, I'll say the positive side of that statement is we have a lot of companies and institutions involved in digitization, involved in digitalization, involved in process simplification, involved in finding out as a basis how can we do things simpler, faster, and cheaper. If we're not going to innovate and if we continuously keep sitting on where we are at the moment thinking that life's good, it's not. So the focus would need to move now from being dependent on what we're doing today to what we can do tomorrow. Compliments to the various organizations, ACFI also, where the next focus is going to be educating of shippers, educating of industries, why it is very important and very crucial to support your business. Why is air cargo going and how is air cargo going to support your business as we move forward? What are you going to gain from it? I think that would be a good starting point for where we need to go. Second very important point is to see if we are going to be more specific in, let's say, a commodity-wise growth, industry-wise growth, airport-wise growth, etc. It's open. There's a debate that's going on internally as you see. if we look at pain points, whose pain points are we looking at? Are we looking at a specific pain point, as Mr. Panikar mentioned earlier this morning? You go to meetings with officials, you've got 20 comments with 30 people. It doesn't work that way. You are showing a non-unity in your approach. I think that's one big factor that we need to change, is to think of the ecosystem's growth rather than an individual stakeholder's growth. And that would make a big difference everywhere. That, I think, probably is what I would like to put on the table for thought at this moment.
So I hear more towards this line that ACFI is likely to work on an innovation award. So will that bring in some new perspectives on this, you expect?
So in line with that, what we did earlier over the last 4 or 5 months is, as part of ACI, we've had this ACFI Innovation Awards for the first time that we want to bring out, and I want to take this opportunity and thank you, Manish, for giving this platform. We have this awards that has been put out now for the last 3-4 months. So let me give you a brief of what these awards are. These awards are meant to get your views, your innovative ideas on various streams. Could be on digitization, could be on safety security, could be on processes, could be on many factors. We need your inputs, we need your thoughts, we need your innovative ideas on how this can be up. I would urge all of you, please have your organizations, members within your organizations, take part in these awards, bring out the talent in you. It's not that people only have ideas who are here or elsewhere. There are a lot of people, from even those who come into this industry at this moment, who can come up with an idea of doing something completely out of the box. Right? We still are quite biased in what we think are the best ideas in the world. Foolishness on our part. I think the best of the ideas is out there. So I would like to urge all of you, please get onto the ACFI's website. It's a very simple form. We need your ideas. We need you to tell us what could be the best contributor to these specific classes. And yes, what gets added to that is that there is a recognition of your idea being implemented. And I think no greater satisfaction comes to anybody that an idea that sparked off, a creativity that has sparked off, has a fruition that you can see. Thank you, Manish, for that.
Thank you, Kekuji. I think, as you mentioned, a platform that encourages more open-ended thinking and innovation certainly is needed. Like if we are to survive in this constant competition we have with modal shift to other forms. Recently on a panel where both me and Mr. Govindarajan were there in Chennai, we were saying like it's a constant swim against the tide, whether you like it or not. It's our industry's reality that we are the cargo option of last resort. In an ideal world, there would be 0 kgs of air cargo, one of my ex-bosses has told. I remember that forever as a guiding principle, that we have to innovate to stay alive, innovate or die, as the sentence goes. I encourage all members of the audience to look into this ACFI Innovation Award that Mr. Gazder just mentioned. And talking of targeted interventions that Mr. Gazder mentioned, Captain Nikhil, again, one refrain we have often heard in our industry, for all the success we have had, all the fancy graphs that we saw, which was so encouraging, how is it that after so many decades, there is only one pure freighter airline in the country? And certainly doesn't look like to me, as a non-airline person, that it is something that's sustainable or viable or even recommended as we move to the Vision 2030 that has multiple state economies, UP, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, all expecting to be a $1 trillion economy. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's sad that we have only one pure freighter carrier in the country. I'm sure that we can do a lot more. But, you know, if you see the graphs over the years, I go back to my passenger days where, you know, when I started flying back in '95, we had pretty much the same or similar equation in the passenger industry. And, you know, there were carriers outside the country called the National Carrier of India. And, you know, Since then, there have been very good interventions by the government in terms of policy, where things are now starting to balance out, and they've been balancing out as we go along. In 2016, when the National Civil Aviation Policy was formed, I think that paved the way for cargo, and especially express cargo as well. From a Blue Dart perspective, I think it was very beneficial because it was the first time there was a policy that recognized the need of air cargo being provided facilities at airports, being provided access on the air side. The other good thing that happened during that time was also the government came up with the self-ground handling policy. I think that also encouraged a lot of things to happen in the air cargo business. I think since then, we have seen an exponential growth in terms of what we were able to do in the country. Yeah? And I think most of the airports have also, played ball along with the policy, leasing out facilities on a slightly longer term basis, because it gives us some financial visibility on what to do next. And I think because of some of these changes that have happened, it's actually encouraged at least Blue Dart, from just a freighter perspective to, continue to grow. And, the last 2 aircraft just came in 6 months ago. So we have a very positive outlook towards what has been done. And of course, policies need to get reinvented over time. I think the foundation of what was required has been laid out pretty much. Going forward, I think it's now more about, collaborating within the industry, and I think all the players are over here to look at how we can boost the Indian carriers. Like I mentioned earlier also, the 6 freedom rights that people are using across India, and some of them even 5th freedom, and some of them are using cabotage as well. That can actually change the game for Indian operators, and maybe more Indian operators would be encouraged to actually get into this business. I think, pain point for everybody, we talked about transshipment. I think that impacts everybody, whether you're an Indian carrier or a foreign carrier. We have, and I think some of these gateways that the government has created are good, but going forward from the gateways to where we need to actually, transport the cargo is where the pain point is. And I think that's something that, we need to look at very closely. Some of it is really low-hanging fruit. For example, if you want to take a shipment from Chennai to Delhi and you have a change of aircraft, that's not permissible. And these are things where, when you look at policies internationally, it's a very easy game, right? If you stay with the same operator, you don't need to worry about screening your cargo again. So I think, most of the presentations also I saw were, hinging a lot on transshipment cargo, and I think that is really beneficial for Indian operators, and not only for freighters, even for, passenger airlines. We have 2-3 tons of capacity on every flight. Like Pradeep mentioned, when you look in the, go forward after the early morning wave is over, the bellies are, pretty much empty. So we need to have some of these regulations kind of looked at. I think there was a ministerial meeting held on this, and I think there is some progress being made. Could be done a little bit faster. If you see the Qatar's case that was presented by Dhruv, I think it's a very clear-cut case of, how we should be going. So I think, from an intervention perspective, the foundation has been laid. I think that a lot more could be done when we want to get to transshipment hubs. That I think we are going to get there. We have a vision to get there, but I think these small hurdles that we need to cross to get there. So, I think as to sum it up, the collaboration between all of us who are here. Although we currently don't have reach to go probably directly to the US, but we do have reach to the Middle East, we have reach to Southeast Asia, and if we can collaborate in that manner, I think not only Blue Dart, but a lot of other operators who are, already there now, you can see shoots of them. You've got Pradhan, you've got, QuickJet, you've got Indigo who's ventured into the cargo business as well. I'm sure that they will get encouraged. And mind you, with what we see here, there is enough for everyone. So it's not that, you're going to eat off anybody's pie. There is enough. The pie is going to only grow bigger and bigger. And that should encourage other carriers to get into the business as well.
Thank you, Captain. And I think very pertinent point about there being enough for everybody and being able to grow in a collaborative way, especially in this phase. That possibly ties in well with what Mayank described earlier. I found it very interesting. A global integrator express carrier now has 16 flights a week, say, out of Bengaluru airport. So in south of India now we have a global integrator also, I don't know, can't quite call it hubbing, but having a sizable presence to create a feed and a defeed perhaps. Mayank, how this transshipment point that's come up repeatedly in discussions today, how can that be leveraged and what can be done there?
So, Manish, if you Google for any of the express operators, the mega hubs, if you go to YouTube, you'll see huge hubs, I think spread in acres, latest auto sorts, high-speed sorting, hundreds and thousands of people operating there in one night, about 60, 70 flights being turned around. All that is possible only with transshipment, right? And if transshipment becomes seamless and simple, it attracts, opens avenues for that many more aircrafts to come in. The ecosystem grows. It helps optimize the capacity, develop more routes, build hubs which are bigger in size that adds to the revenue generation for the entire ecosystem, and most importantly, generates a lot of jobs. But one thing that it does also is helps give a lot of importance or benefit to the exporters and importers who are looking for reach into different parts of the world without having to operate a point-to-point connection. The hub and spoke model really benefits only with this kind of setup. To give you an example, DHL's major hubs in Asia are in Hong Kong and Singapore. You know, two aircrafts parked next to each other. Simple RAM transfer of the ULDs from one aircraft to the other by the ground handler with paper and permissions taken beforehand. In those 2 hours that the aircraft is being turned around to unload imports, load exports, this transshipment also fits into that scheme of things, and it flows through. The moment the transshipment volume needs to be opened, unloaded, screened, resorted, it adds to time. Time is a real killer for an express operator, right? And the multiple handling leads to that many more cost, damages, possibility, and additional processes. So with easing out processes, the entire ecosystem in the airport community or the air cargo community benefits, and that benefit ultimately results in the benefit to the exporter or the importer of every country, not just your specific country, from an international transshipment point of view. But if by doing that, your importers or exporters in the country benefit, then it's something that should be looked at.
Thank you, Mayank. Now, Giri, you highlighted, and especially music to our ears here in the south, that you are looking to expand your operations further. While we keenly look forward to that, what are some of those industries or opportunities that you feel that can support that kind of growth and expansion by you and other carriers? What are some sunrise sectors that you are looking at?
Yeah, it's a good question, Manish. I just wanted to go back and tell the audience that what happened in the domestic about years back. I mean, if you look at what happened in domestic, so today if you look at what happens in Bangalore, so Bangalore started carrying corianders in out of south. 8 years back, there is an opportunity. We converted this opportunity, and then it's become routine now. So it added value to Bangalore air cargo, domestic air cargo, right? Same thing happened in Chennai. So we started moving shrimp seeds, and then it's become a pattern, right? So there is plenty of opportunities. Whenever we travel to different catchment areas, what happens is there is a kind of awareness is lacking, especially with the with the customer side and the kind of entrepreneurs are coming up right now. So people needs constant education, right? Constant education. So today we spoke about transshipments. We spoke about everything, right? So I just wanted to take a devil's advocate in terms of the innovation happens when the need is there, right? Isn't it? So we need to start putting a business case to the airports, to the freight forwarders and everybody in terms of what are the business we can put it across to the table. And recently I was on travel to one of the catchment areas. So we were talking to the couple of large marine customers. And they were, typically, they were sending, the shipments on ocean. And then, so when we spoke about, what are the benefits, then we spoke about what are the value additions we can, add it to the business. They're pretty much interested. So since, Fledger, then Satish and everybody is there. So there is an awareness session which is lacking, possibly the last awareness session, conducted by BIAL is about 3 years back or something, maybe before pandemic. So we should start conducting those awareness sessions to the catchment areas, maybe a joint venture between the terminal operators and the airports, and airlines, we can also participate. We should, go every quarter or every 6 months, we should go to the markets and give them an overview. There's a lot of entrepreneurs, needs an awareness. So that could be the way forward, Manish. I mean, that's my perspective, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Awareness and knowledge, of course, a point that comes up again and again. And maybe for the perspective that we briefly touched upon, going forward, all this growth is going to place immense demand on knowledgeable and trained workforce. So how do we ensure that the next phase of growth that we all discussed upon is ensured, supplied with the talent?
Taking clue from the serious issue that Captain spoke about, the transshipment. Use the right word, sixth freedom is the issue. Sixth freedom and fifth freedom also, you said. Sixth freedom, transshipment will not be a problem. Because the flag carrier will be bringing it, flag carrier will be taking it out. But you are bringing it on a fourth freedom from a foreign country and dependent on another fourth freedom operator from this country to another place, that is two fourth freedom. It will be a biggest challenge unless otherwise there is a specific agreement between those two airlines. There is specific rate agreements between those two airlines. That will happen only if they find Indian airports friendly for such a transshipment. And as he rightly said, unfortunately, still we are not friendly for transshipment. I'm sure Keku will tell me even for domestic cargo to move from one aircraft to another aircraft in a ramp transfer is very difficult. And I know Keku was running up and down with a couple of things a few months back. We were talking about it. So if that were to be done, first and foremost, process in the airports must be made friendly, not taking shelter under the curtain of BCA's regulation. That will be the first villain. So that is to be done. Then coming to the knowledge capability. There are lots of talking on skill development. We now and then pick up two words, skill development, upskill. These are all very, very fancy words that we use. The question is how much of skill you need in air cargo. How much of knowledge you need in air cargo. Sometimes we get confused ourselves by trying to talk about skill, where you require knowledge. Skill is required only in the finger level guys. Knowledge is driven by the people who are going to drive the business. Knowledge-driven skill is required for the organization. Whereas we are spending too much of time and energy on skill. I give you a simplest example. What type of knowledge? See, let's take, everybody knows you take the linear dimensions, get the volume divided by 6,000. I ask somebody, why that 6,000? That's all. I haven't seen a categorical answer from anybody why that 6,000. When FedEx made 5,000, FedEx is doing it. how they are in a position to. If you have the knowledge why they are doing it, you would have done it for 4,000 or you would have done it for 8,000. You get me? For example, Sri Lanka, for cut flowers only they used to have 8,000. Even today they have got. Simplest issue, I'm not talking big issue. Everybody talks about chargeable weight, everybody talks about dimension, volume divided by 6,000. One simple question, why 6,000? If you have understood it, as a marketing guy, as a sales guy, you will be in a position to play around with that, giving rates. So there is knowledge deficiency. Skill is not a problem. How to build the knowledge deficiency. Mere classroom training and certification training will not help because we focus more on certification. You have got a captain sitting there. They will come for DGR training. First thing they will ask is when the training will come to an end. But you need a certificate-driven knowledge. Don't try to give. It's of little or no use. You cannot develop a sustainable community for a sustainable growth. We need knowledge-driven people. That means you need to have knowledge sharing as a constant and continuous basis, for which probably ACFI can identify or others can identify mentors for the industry. You need some mentors. You need some people as touch point, maybe as a call center even for them to give what should be done when. Because we spend a lot of time, 5 hours, and you ask any HR guy, some HR guys will call me and tell, sir, we want some training. I ask them, what training? No, our guys have to go for 2 days of training if they have to get the KPI, KRA, or some words that the HR people will have, and they'll say, we want 2 days of training. What training? Silent. Because we have not identified what is to be given. So again and again, if you are going to talk about skill or knowledge, let's first understand, what do they want? And how are we going to give it? Instead of completing the ritual of having completed 2 days of training or 1 day of training. That can be done as a community. We have been, see, I give you the best example. Once upon a time, you go and ask for a rate. I got this much tonnage of cargo. Can you give me a rate? The cargo assistant in the office will be in a position to give the rate. Today you cannot. Give me, I will call you back by 3 o'clock. Because he has to send a mail to somebody, and somebody has to give it. That somebody has got knowledge, but not this guy. Because of your communications ability now, technology, you are in a position to communicate, get it. That type of knowledge should be instilled. It can be done as a community, provided we agree in principle that we will not just like that give you a training for the sake of certificate. We will give you a training for knowledge.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Govindarajan sir. And the knowledge deficit is a real challenge, as highlighted. With that, unfortunately, since we began late, I'll have to curtail the session here. My immense gratitude to all the esteemed panel members for their fantastic insights. I think it's clear that South is poised at the crossroads. There is great opportunity ahead in many new areas where through collaboration, some targeted interventions in process simplification and regulatory changes, coupled with a great focus on building knowledge base amongst our workforce can truly help us get there. Thank you so much, and thanks to the audience for their patience. Anupama, over to you.
Thank you, Manish, and thank you all the panelists for a very exciting session. Again, we know there's a lot of scope and we need to exploit the potential of cargo. May I please invite Mr. Raveen Pinto to felicitate the Business Session 1 participants, please. Please stay, may I request you to please stay back. Mr. Raveen Pinto, Vice President BIAL, to facilitate the moderator and speakers of the session. To start with Mr. Govindarajan. Mr. Mayank Puri. Captain Nikhil B. Mr. Keku Bomi Gazder. Mr. Giridharan Srinivasan. And the moderator, Mr. Manish Agnihothri. Yes, can we have a group photo, please? Thank you, gentlemen. After some food for thought, we break here for lunch. Please note that lunch is served opposite to the registration desk. We start the next session at 2 p.m. sharp. A humble request to all to be back precisely by 2, please. Thank you and enjoy your lunch.